tell you a story about a moth in a stream. This was an important teaching for me a long time ago about whether we should interfere with what we see going on, especially if we see something wrong going on. It made it so that I take action now when I see something going wrong, like somebody abusing a child or someone being rude or mean to someone. Oh, and I just wanted to feature this cool flower. Isn't that beautiful? It's ready to go soon, but I just wanted to preserve it for posterity. And then here's one that's going to bloom soon. This one's not far away. This one's just beginning to open. Anyway, I wanted to share this story about the moth. I was meditating one day by a stream, and I was watching this this water just going by, sparkling in the sunlight, really beautiful, just meditating, just being with my eyes open, just focused on a beautiful thing. So it's a meditation technique to just focus on something beautiful for half an hour. And it's a powerful meditation. It's a really nice one. You should try it. Like a beautiful flower or beautiful trees or mountains or sky or look. Oh, clouds are really fun to meditate on. They paint pictures. And I also love to meditate on dancing trees in the wind. This one right over there, that really tall, I don't know if you can see it, that really, really tall eucalyptus, it goes back and forth like 10 to 15 feet. It goes back and forth and back and forth. Like it moves like 10 to 15 feet at the top in the wind. Right now it's sitting still, but... So I was meditating on this beautiful stream, and I saw this moth struggling for its life, going down the water, and it was struggling, and it was struggling, and struggling, and it was like flapping, and there was no way it was going to live. There was no way it was going to get out of the current. There was no way it was going to get out of the water. It was done for. And I sat there, and I looked at it for a moment, and was like, well, this is nature. Should I interfere? Should I do anything? And then what happened was I realized, wait, I'm the one here witnessing it. If I wasn't sitting here in the middle of nowhere, this moth would have no chance whatsoever. But because I'm here, this moth has a chance. Because I'm here, this moth could be saved, and it should be, and I must take action. And I realized in that moment, omission of action incurs karma as well. If I had let that moth die, it was almost like I killed it. I mean, maybe it could be a stretch in some people's imagination that, okay, well, just because I didn't do anything doesn't mean I didn't kill it. But the fact that I could have just scooped it out of there easily and saved its life, that is taking action that creates good karma. I mean, I don't know how much good karma you get for saving a moth, but that's the kind of person I am. I save flies, I save moths, I don't kill things. I do confess I'm not as merciful with mosquitoes. So maybe I have a little ways to go. But everything else I save, a spider, a fly, a scorpion, a moth, I never ever kill anything unnecessarily. I'm still in a quandary as to whether killing mosquitoes is necessary. I mean, there are plenty of them, right? No, okay, I'm getting off track here. So when I leapt to my feet, as soon as I realized, oh my God, I've got to do something. This is my moment to take action. This is a chance for me to make a difference in someone else's life. Even though a person might not think that a moth's life is important, it is, because this is God being. Even a moth is God, experiencing itself in that form in a dream. So I went to the stream and I easily scooped the little guy out. You know, he was maybe like this big, you know, he wasn't super little, but he was, oh, actually he was a sizable moth. And I scooped him out with my hands, both hands, and I let the water drain out, and he just collapsed and was, like, probably not knowing exactly what was happening, if this big giant thing was going to kill it, maybe, because I am pretty big compared to a moth. I mean, imagine how giant we look to some of these smaller animals. We're giants bumbling around, stomping on everything. But so, and I laid him down on this rock in the sun, just laid him down, kind of pushed all the water away, tried to sprinkle it away, and then I moved him to a dry spot on the rock once the water had come off his body a little bit, and I stayed with him for a while. I stayed with him until he started to feel better. He was moving, so I knew he was alive, but he was very weak and he was having trouble. And I even gave him a name, but I don't remember what I named him. And I just sat with him, sat next to him in meditation, and just watched him. He was beautiful. And then he began to move his wings, and he began to get his bearings back. And he was so beautiful on that rock. He was really pretty. He was brown and gray and had these designs that were really neato. He started to move his wings, and I could see that a couple of them were stuck. So very carefully, I helped get his wings unstuck so he could fly again and fully dry out. And then he sat on the rock looking at me. After I separated his wings so that they could really dry out. And I was really careful not to touch them very much. Like, I used like a piece of grass and my other finger just to separate them. Because they have a certain coating on their wings that you don't want to mess up. I mean, I don't know how much the water might have taken it off, but... And then after he realized that I had helped him, he sat there and was just looking at me like, wow, you have really surprised me. A human helped me? And I've helped a lot of little animals over my years that are just, sometimes they're really confused, like, wow, you helped me. Humans are generally kind of violent and kill everything. You're different. I felt better about myself than I would have felt if I let that little guy just keep going down the water and dying. And I realized I'd learned a really important lesson about omission of action creates karma versus action can also create karma, but good and bad depends on what the omission is or what the action is, of course. And it came up again very shortly after that. I was on a bus, and there was a woman who was really berating her child. Really sweet little girl. She kind of looked like me when I was little too, so it kind of hit home. I used to be a blonde, little blue-eyed girl. Believe it or not, I used to have blonde hair when I was a child, and then it turned brown. But I was sitting on the bus, and I was listening to this woman be so mean to her child. It was really abusive. It was verbally abusive. And I thought about it, and I thought about it. Should I interfere? Should I say something? I mean, it's not really my place, blah, blah, blah. And the little girl was just trying so hard to be sweet and get her mom to be happy with her. And, the mom probably was just having a really bad moment and having a bad day. And who knows, maybe she just got divorced or something terrible happened. But she was grumpy as heck. And finally, we got to our stop, and it was time to get off the bus. And I walked over to the lady, and I said, I know you might be having a bad day, and I get grumpy too, but you gotta be really careful with your kid, because she's really impressionable right now, and you're creating programs in her head that she's not worthy and that she's not loved by you. And the woman just gave me the dirtiest look, like, who the heck are you to talk to me about how I raise my kid or whatever? And I just, kind of was, and I just gave the little girl a wink, and she smiled, and she was so grateful. I could see this light shining in her, and that her mom kind of got reprimanded for being mean to her, because this little girl needed to know that that wasn't okay, that was wrong. So I think that maybe that little girl will remember me. I mean, that was like 30 years ago. maybe that little girl will remember me, and that I helped her realize. Maybe not. I don't know. And maybe the woman did a double take too, about, even though she didn't want to give me any credit in that moment for calling her on her stuff, maybe she also realized I have to really be more careful about how I talk to my child, at least in public. So maybe it made a little change, but it was a moment where I was questioning whether I should take action or not, and I remembered that moment with the little moth. And from then on, I've always taken action where I could, if I could. Sometimes it's not appropriate. Everything is a individual situation, of course. I can't say for sure that you should always take action. Maybe there's times when you shouldn't. I can't think of an example of where not to right in the moment, but there are times when I've realized, okay, if I take action here, I'm actually going to make it worse. So I did leave the situation alone. But when guided to, when I felt like I really should take action, I did. And I felt good that I did in that moment. I did my part to make the world a better place. I did my part to make someone else's life better. So I wanted to pass that on to you because it's such an important teaching, especially for right now. That little moth that taught me, take action when you see the need to help, when, especially if you're the only one there. I was the only one in the wilderness watching this stream in this moment in his life. The little moth. I don't know if it was a boy or girl. I just call him a him. And and I feel forever connected to that moment. And I try to take action in the world. And this is a moment in the world. That's why this teaching is so important right now, is because this is a moment in the world when we all have to really take action, really take the guidance where it's at, really, really, really make an effort to make the world a better place in every way that we can, make somebody else's life better, because we are really challenged as a species right now. Humanity is in it deep. We are in it deep. So we gotta make this world a better place. Every little action counts. Every little one. There's no action that doesn't count, no matter how small it is. I saved a moth. A lot of people would be like, big whoop, who cares? But that made the world just a little bit better, at least for that little guy. I don't know how much longer he lived. I don't know how long a moth lives, but he got to have some more life. And I don't know how things worked out for that little girl, but I made her life better in that moment. And maybe I made the mom's life better too, because now she's not so irritable. I love flowers, but sometimes they make me sneeze. I have a little bit of a hay fever, and there's a lot of pollen from the pine trees right now, but I love pollen. It's good for our earth. Well, I just wanted to share that with you. Take action when you have a chance to. When you see that you can make something better, take action. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Say something. Somebody throws trash on the ground, pick it up and hand it to them. So maybe they're a little bit shamed into taking care of the earth a little better. And here's another thing. In that moment, they might give you a little bit of a dirty look. In that moment, don't expect them to thank you for calling them on their stuff. Don't expect them to appreciate that you noticed that they weren't acting right. But later, they may get what it was all about. And that's what's actually important. It doesn't matter if you get credit for it in the moment. Just take the actions that you see need to be taken and be beautiful, be helpful, be harmless in this world.